when we get the rec bot in here, bro, because we don't
Okay, the
want
rec
to.
bot's in here. Hey, shout
So
out to this person
you,
over here.
so one we can just go. Okay, so one we're just gonna go over the topic, and we're gonna do preliminaries after the topic. So the topic on the table is just that we have speed can bypass infinity. That's what MZ is gonna be affirming. And then after that, I'm just gonna be on the negation to that. So one, I want to get the relevant modality cleared up there, sir, and I also want to know what it means to be possible.
Relevant modality and the possibility? Well, simply just
Relevant modality and what it means to be possible, sir.
relevant modality. I'll just use some type of classical version of modality, which is simply talking about the necessity and you want the definitions for those, and then what it means for something to be possible. It means just
So
to exist
you're just using the
that can
classical.
happen impossible.
So you're using the
I'm giving the
classical.
schema. Yeah, this
So
is
you're
classical schema modality.
okay. So you're just the classical schema modality.
Yes,
So
to be more
one that
specific.
doesn't.
Wait. I'm gonna go more specific. Relax. To be more specific, since we're talking about bypasses and speed in this terms of attributes, I'll be utilizing a one. What's the averages? So one t-test formula for this.
So one for the rec, he hasn't necessarily limited the modal space there. So I'm gonna give you the options when it comes to modality there, and you can just pick it off. So a logical modality, an epistemic modality, a nomological modality, because this still doesn't actually clarify what modality is. So
do you know what
maybe
one t-test? Do you know what the realm
no,
of one t-test is?
I'm about to ask you to exhaust it, sir. That's why if you want to talk.
Okay. I'm saying I
And
did
then so
exhaust it.
after that, right after you exhaust what the classical modality is going to be there, I just deny that it's not the type of thing which is possible, given that if you make a truth table, it's not evaluated as true and false on the same evaluation there. So that guarantees that it's possible. So okay, yeah, we can make a truth table.
So just okay. Do you know? Okay, first of all, do
Yeah,
you know what one t-test is?
Wait,
I asked a question. Do you know what one t-test is?
No, I asked you to exhaust it, sir. But what postulates do you want to put on the truth table?
You asked me to exhaust it. Not
what postulates do you want to put on the truth table?
What?
What postulates do you want to put on the truth table, sir?
Why is that necessary? Just clarify.
It's not that's a category area. It's not to say that it's necessary, sir, but it's what's more preferable to the truth table, sir.
I said to exhaust. What do you mean by that?
Oh, on what part? On what a postulate is?
Yeah, just extrapolate on that, please.
Dude, all a postulate is a statement, right? Or it's like it's just statement. Okay, no, stop. I wasn't done. You cut me off, so you didn't get to let me finish. A postulate is a statement or theory suggested is true without proof, sir. Or it's starting no, stop. As true without proof, serving as a starting point for reason, logical, and argument.
Bro, I'm asking to repeat because you literally can't hear. You're speaking too fast, bro.
Okay, dude. A postulate is a statement or theory suggested is true without proof, serving as the starting point for reasoning, logical, and argument, sir.
Okay, well that seems kind of so then that seems kind of a cue bag because when you say that it's a statement, it doesn't seem to have justification to be true, or it seems to be irresistible being true. That kind of presumes the conclusion.
One, you're already confused there because I haven't even made an argument for that type of talk there. So one, that's going to be a category. I don't even know what question bag are you addressing. Because all you ask, stop. Don't try to over talk me now, bro. All you ask is for the definitions of a postulate. So I don't know how you get a question bag out of that. Because a question bag, at least analytically, just seems to be where you presuppose a conclusion within the argument there. That's all that seems to be. So I don't know where you got this question bag from, but I want to know where you got that from, sir.
I did say that if you would open your ears. Okay, Prag.
You said what?
Okay, Prag, the problem with the definition that you gave when it expresses the definitions is this statement, and again, is deemed to be true without justified evidence. That's literally what you said in the rec. Now I'm going to open your ears. You are on the negation. So you're obviously going to be negating the proposition or the statements in which I'm going to be imposing. So when you say that it just has no evidence, it kind of pre-assumes that because the negation obviously believes that the statements I have don't have any bearing of truth value. You dum-dum.
Okay,
wait.
No, so you just made a statement. I'm going to address it. So one, you're already confused on the elite talk. So now I want you to exhaust the elite talk there in the matter of being used. And one also wants you to cash out or at least prove that that's the type of thing that's going to be presupposed in my argument because that's the type of thing which you just said which is not sufficient there. I don't see how that's going to be the type of thing which is equivalent. That's going to be the type of thing you're going to need to prove, sir. Because and all I said there is that you don't even have to use the postulates there for the truth talk. So getting on this isn't even the type of thing which is really relevant there. But even if you wanted to get on this type of talk there, you still seem to be type of confused there. And then I guess we just hold the feasible reasoning to believe that it's not the type of thing that's going to be begging the question. And even if it is the type of thing that's going to be begging the question, we can just hold to not what found the reasoning there. So I want to see what's going to be problematic with that, sir. So,
Okay, are you done? Can I speak now?
oh, wait, that's not a shotgun. I mean, do you want moderation? Because that's not a shotgun.
Yeah, I need moderation. So I'll just begin because you cut me off during my time twice. Okay, to make that very clear. Also, I continue. Listen. Okay, Prag. So there's a lot of problems there. Number one, I kind of get justification as to why BQ beg because again, you already established the fact you're on the negation, so you obviously reject the claim. The rejection of the claim and part of the definition you gave for the definition was simply a statement that we take this true without justified evidence. Again, highlight without. Justification within the without there would obviously cash out and when you want to establish the face establish on your own side or the negation is already believe this thing. So by the definition itself already imposes the negational value in which you don't cash a justification for the said thing. That's number one. Number two, for some odd reason, you didn't address the previous point about the one truth table, which I did cash out the justification for the proposition and the probability stasis there, because it's obviously going to be some of the logical modality. That's why it's a logical modality schema, but you didn't know that, so I'm not even surprised. So that's number two. Number three, which I want to make this very highlighted the fact, which you again clearly didn't track at all, is what I did posit the modality. I easily sent the classical modality in a reference to the T table, and I gave the fucking definitions for possibility, and the possibility just simply to occur in a possible world. That's very obvious the definition of possibility there. Now, I'm going to ask you again double burdens to restate because you didn't adjust the burdens last time. So number one, justify the extrapolation process or the extrapolation of the definition to be true. Number two, it doesn't seem to be the case that you actually have a problem with the negation there, or saying it's positive it's not true, saying some sort of unjustified claim. So I want your definition of truth and to extrapolate and motivate the definition of truth there. And number three, I want you to justify as to why the schema doesn't seem to abide by some type of natural Aristotelian laws of logic or format in order to we can abide by truth using the probabilities and justification for these things. And if you just don't, I think we can conclude, bro, because I'm not gonna lie, this is pretty bad.
Yeah, so for the record, I just want to address that the retard thought that he was going to be the moderator for his own debate, which I'm going to deny there. And then all this talk there presupposes I even hold this theory of truth. That's going to be the type of thing which is a loaded question, or it's at least loaded epistemically there. And I could just be an elite acknowledge that type of talk. But in specifically referencing, so those burdens are the things that are no longer relevant there. So, and specifically to like him trying to shotgun me there, that was bad. And then other than that, like my theory of possibility, no, what I meant by possibilities there, and I deny what he thinks possibilities are, because possibilities analytically are these type of things with no logical contradictions. It's going to be analytically grounded. So if he thinks those two are synonymous, then he can vocalize that. But even then, he still hasn't tracked what I said there. Even if that is the type of thing which is a question bag, you could just use non-well-founded reasoning, or you could impose Musin's trilemma, in which you use justification, and justification leads into a trichotomous nature there. So that's the type of thing he has to respond to: Musin's trilemma and non-well-founded reasoning to make the to make the circularity the type of thing which is not permissible. Because even if I did go circular, it could be the type of thing that is not permissible. It could be the type of thing which is permissible. My bad, that's what I meant to say. So I didn't really hear anything he said. I also want to know the definitions of what it means to be justified there. And I don't know. And also, this still seems to be a category error because when you want to pose a question bag, it seems to be categorically distinct between labeling definitions there. So we can get into the categorical distinction there. So what it means to be categorically distinct is that within the conceptual scheme, the members they share two different properties, or they share distinct properties there, or they just no, actually I'm gonna stop the explanation at that. They share distinct properties. And if that's the case, well, you can only question back if you're formulating an argument. Definitions don't seem to fit into that category of giving an argument. Now, for the record, I just want to specify he didn't actually talk about it being a logical modality first. He had to exhaust that, which is what I asked him to do. And then once he finally exhausts that, he still hasn't like, oh, actually, he tried to put the burden on me to prove that, in at least in the truth table, it's not evaluated as P and not P. So I'm gonna do that first because that's probably what he thought he was gonna get away with. So now I'm gonna get that. I'm gonna get the truth table. And I'm gonna send the truth table. But so now what he needs to do is, since he asked me he gave me an epistemically loaded burden. I'm going to ask him to motivate Alethea because that's going to be the type of thing which he needs to motivate. And by the way, for the rec, if you didn't even want to go like you could go a non-idiosyncratic way of what it means to be possible. And you could just redefine possible in a way that there's just no logical contradiction. in reference to like what I said there. So you can make the distinction there.
Damn, Nick, are you done?
Oh no, because you had the talking time to shove all those burdens on me. So now I get to talk, right? Or are you just doing one-sided moderation?
Keep continuing, I guess, bro. You're going for a little. You're just kind of going a little
Oh,
while.
okay, so dude, by the way, this guy MC doesn't know what it means to be circular. So, and then we also want to talk about the prop at hand. The prop at hand is to justify that speed is not the type of thing which can bypass infinity, that it's impossible. So now he actually hasn't refuted or stipulated that it's actually the type of thing that is not possible. There's been no credence for that claim. So far as in him giving justification for the argument, I deny that's the type of thing he gives justification for. And I deny that he's actually marked the probability scheme. So that's also another thing he needs to address there. And I'll just deny his conceptual scheme. And his conceptual scheme is going to be this thing under Carnap, which is going to be the linguistic framework. And obviously, if the linguistic framework doesn't follow through, then the apparatus within the linguistic framework is not the type of thing which falls through either. So his conceptual scheme, which holds the building blocks as prop, is also going to be denied. And yeah, man, so he can just get through the rejection of his conceptual scheme. And also, we want to bring up something else, right? We want to bring up a point about parsimony. Obviously, saying that speed can't bypass infinity is the type of thing which is less parsimonious, given that it holds you to it holds you to most commitments. And it's the type of thing that's not adequate because it's not epistemically instantiated, and we have no reason to believe in that. In prima facie, speed is the type of thing which can bypass infinity, sir. So
Wait,
this
why
also
so?
has yes, no,
Why so
no. I
clarification?
didn't talk. I didn't talk when you were talking,
No,
sir.
it's not
I
a
didn't
clarifying
talk.
question. I
No,
didn't hear that. Why
I
so?
didn't talk. I didn't know. I didn't talk when you were talking. You can ask
Just
your
asking for
clarifying question after.
clarification.
No, you can ask your clarifying question after, sir. Or are you gonna do this mod abusing shit?
I'm not. I'm just asking for
Oh, okay.
clarification, bro.
Yeah. So you can just
Continue,
wait
bro.
until I'm done.
Keep
So
shotgunning, bro.
one, even if I wasn't shotgunning, that's epistemically loaded again. Even if he wanted to say that these are the type of things I needed to prove, right? I did not. These are the type of things I needed to prove. Given that I've already given the analytical distinction between what it means to question beg and what it means to fucking explicate definitions for a word there. So that's going to be the type of thing which is different. And by the way, this is like meta level talk straight away from the object level talk. And he hasn't motivated the prop on the object level talk there. So he has to respond to a couple of things. And yeah, man.
Wow. So, wow. Oh, okay. We can go through a lot. Oh, by the way, clarifying question. Prague. What was the Carnap thing you justified for the rejection of the conceptual schema?
So one, okay, no, that's confused because all I was doing there is labeling what a conceptual scheme is. That's going to be
You
the global
rejected my
talk for.
conceptual schema
Stop,
verbatim.
stop. It's going to be the global talk for a conceptual scheme. And the reason I denied your conceptual scheme is because we at least
So
have
you
the
did.
feasibility. Stop. Because you need clarification, right? Or do you not want me to talk?
That's simply what the schema
Oh,
was,
okay.
bro.
So I'm going to tell you, sir.
You're kind of just
Dude, all I know,
you're
oh
avoiding the
no,
question,
you're confused. You're confused on what I said, bro. I was just taking the Carnapian picture of what a conceptual scheme is, and that's just going to be a linguistic framework, sir. That's all I was doing. And now, if you were to ask from right there your justification, which you keep seeming to bring about this justification, sir,
bro.
I'm just gonna go to phenomenal conservatism. If that's that P, that's just from the P. So that's just the feasible reasoning now. So now I guess we can have like this type of noseium inference and this phenomenal conservatism stacked together. And this is gonna be the type of thing which adequately refutes or at least gives us justification to not believe in the proposition. And by the way, for the recording, right, it is for the affirmation to prove his claim, which is not the type of thing he has done. So I guess I can just dismiss this in the lack of evidence there, sir. And I also want to see why this type of argumentation is the type of thing which is valid, sir.
Wow. So again, somehow just spend a whole minute asking for one specific question, but we're gonna let that slide. Okay, there's 5 problems so far with Prague. Number 1, Prague hasn't even cashed out the definition for possible and is on his own conceptual schema, so I'm gonna call that blunder route. Just I think that's just very easy to call that down now. I don't know why this niggas, can't really cash out the possibility there for the modality there. And number 2, I think I want to make it very clear, which is the other problem. Under the Carnapian view, number 1, yeah, when it meant to be possible, I say cash out the modality for possibility. You can tell me it means to be possible, you can cash the modality under the schema. That's kind of the distinction between the two things, Bragg. But again, that's number 1. Number 2, it seems under the Carnapian view, and much of the other views he abides by, they have specific factors and properties that you must utilize before enacting the view. And it doesn't seem to be the case that even posit as to why the view even is even established itself. Kind of just says under this apparent view we can justify this, but even though going past the conditions, which I think is really bad. Number 3, I mean, he literally just like spent like 25 years, kind of just going over like the entirety, so I might have to go back in specific aspects, specific justification, anything, because we're getting into a shotgunning. And it isn't just the case that when I kept asking to slow down for linguistic there, when he posited the fact that it seems to be the case that there's some type of category error there, it kind of has a problem there. What's it called? And then number 4, let's call it the 4 problem, specifically, which I think is, kind of what I want to really get to, is the fact under the probability model that I posited, he didn't actually really contend as to why the definitions it goes conflated. He kind of just said they did because they reject his view, but without even justifying the view. So he didn't really justify the view, which I asked him to previously before even coming up here. It just seemed to be the case he was naturally, just negating, which I think is another, kind of thing. And it doesn't be the case that even under all of these specific contentions he has in the debate, not only does he not even does he even justify as to why it doesn't even be the same, that number 1, he didn't really address the problem with the probability or the definition of probability. He didn't really seem to contention. Again, under the definition I even posited, it's a value in which he also accredited. So again, the definitions of the word possibility, it seems to be cashed out there. We share. Didn't really reject that view. The only thing, and be more specific of what I'm rejecting here, Prag didn't justify leaving the modality there, not just the possibility, because he defined what it means to be possible, but he didn't reject the modality of the definition I imposed it to be in the idiosyncratic or some type of way it's not justified. It actually shares the same properties, which I think is confused upon. And number 3, which about the probability schema there, which I really want to emphasize, Prag clearly doesn't know that probability schemas derive upon some type of logistical framework or any type of other operational framework. So when I posited that it's a 1T test, it's at least some type of logistical framework, which he clearly, didn't, kind of went by there. But I want to make that very clear. Number 2, if it means possibility, something that doesn't have contradictions, it's kind of an odd definition there, because something can be possible and inherently have contradictions under under I believe a 3, a 3 slope t-test view under the diffeendum. So under that schema, under I think it's another modality schema. So the definitions even itself is already conflated, and the justification for that will just simply be that the definition for possible or possibility or probability or an event that can occur, the event that can occur derives from the mathematical axioms and the way we justify those. And not to go so long, but it seems to be the case that those are just inherently justified, and it doesn't seem the Prag actually has contentions because he also utilizes the mathematical schemas and under his own argument. So unless he rejects his own argument, it seems to be kind of conflated there. And when he goes to his argument, he can talk about that. But I mean, I think we can conclude on this specific point. It doesn't see the case that he actually has rejection for the schema, rejection for the economy. It just seems to he rejects it for no actual reason. It doesn't seem to be the case that it's not justified, it doesn't inherently follow, which is not justified under his schema, which I don't really necessarily care for. So Prag, all I really need to do is justify the Caucasian view. Actually, utilization of all the other views as to why I should even take those views to be posited. Justify why the probability model you posited seems to be rejection. Under the parsimony factor, I want to justify why the priors you even have justifies the parsimony. And I think that's just pretty much it.
Yeah, so one, this absolute retard. One, he made a couple of blunders. One, I
Damn.
defined what it meant to be possible, and in his own response, he admitted to saying, I said, I defined what it was mean to be possible." And now he could just cash out the scheme because I deny the scheme is actually saying what he's saying when it means to be possible, and that what it means to be possible is to have a logical contradiction, and that's rejected under all epistemic schemes that are what it means to be possible. That's rejected under a classical logician. That's rejected under a non-classical logician. Because if it's logically possible, right, it is not classified, right? It does not break any of the 3 laws of logic. And that's the type of thing which is going to be analytic. He also didn't attack that. So now what it means to be analytic, to be instantiated in virtue of the definitions of the definiendum. That's it's barely basic, MZ. So your head might be you might be up there clouded. And by the way, I'm just gonna flag this for the fucking right. He hasn't responded to the Alethea talk. And then he keeps throwing out this justificationary type talk there, even though I instantiated my theory of justification. And then he did not deny that. So I already instantiated PC and knows in inference. And he also hasn't denied non-well-founded reasoning. And that's going to be another thing. And I'm also going to need the definitions for what it means to be fucking justified there. So what he needs to prove, he needs to prove that under the scheme, it can be possible and have a logical contradiction. I don't think he can prove that that's not the type of thing which is that's not the type of thing which is empirically instantiated. So that's one. That's not the type of thing that's instantiated by any class there. So actually, I want to get to the straw man's there, and I'm just going to refuse the dichotomy. And to make my stance on probability very clear, I'm a Bayesian subjectivist. So now he has actually clarified his model, what it means to be probable. And what he tried to do is try to say that I shotgunned him. One, he proved that I shotgunned, proved that I actually had the intent, rather than me having to actually say something that was important, rather than you just trying to spur it there. And for the fucking recording, it is on the affirmation to prove that his claim is one which is valid and sound, right? He has not proved so far that his claim is one valid or sound, and those are the burdens he had on the table there. So he needs to prove a relevant distinction between any of the questions he asked me, because if there's no relevancy distinction, there's not going to be the type of things which are burdens. And for the truth table, I'm gonna get that because that's probably gonna be something he brings. And by the way, so the distinction on the Bayesian talk there, because he actually haven't defined what it means to be probable, or he hasn't captured the probability scheme there. So I'm just gonna call it the category error. Because what the Bayesian subjectivist wants to say simpliciter is that probability is the type of thing that dependent on the stochastic states there. And obviously we share opposing stochastic states. I'm gonna be saying not P, you're gonna be saying P, right? So we have the 2 out of 3 stochastic states, right? And obviously, there's going to be a distinction within the Dalzak state. So that's going to be the distinction within the scheme, even if the scheme is one which we both share. And I deny the schemes which you both share. And then two, I didn't hear what he said about parsimony. He said justify what it means to be more parsimonious, or something, what it means to be parsimonious. So I'm going to ask him to repeat that. And I'm also going to have to ask him to tell me what it means to be possible. Because the feasible reasoning, or at least prima facie, we have these type of tools, and these type of tools allow for us to use these type of things, such as knowing Gnossian inference and phenomenal conservation. And by the way, he still hasn't attacked that, even though I could be begging the question, even though if I was begging the question, we could just hold to begging the question to be this type of thing was epistemically permissible under Mutual trilemma. That's the type of thing he was an attack there. And when it came to the logical modality point there, what it meant to be possible under a logical modality, I don't have to deny the logical modality there. I can just deny the definitions for what it means to be possible, sir. That's going to be another category error on the dumb fuck, right? Because what it means to be possible, which he never actually attacked there, he never attacked that my definition of possible was analytically instantiated there. And then he's gonna have this burden on the table to prove that under 3D or whatever he said, it can be possible with a logical contradiction. That's not gonna follow under fucking any modality, right? And that's gonna be empirically instantiated. So one, I'm gonna research what MZ said, and then we're gonna prove that he's LARPing. So MZ, just for a clarifying question, really quickly, what did you say that it highlighted that it's the type of thing that's not possible, sir?
For which specific instance? I
So,
never said
because
anything not
when
possible.
well, when
I
you read, well, no, stop. When you redefined, when you said what it meant to be possible, it could be possible even with the logical contradiction.
what?
What
No,
piece of lit? What piece?
no, no, no. Wait, be
That's what
quiet. I'm
you
trying to.
said.
No, 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 no. I'm telling you what I said. Be quiet. Okay, open your ears. What I said is that in terms of the definition of the possibility, that we both set a definition that not only prescribes or carries the same properties. So there doesn't when you decided to deny the schema for probability or possibility under my definition, it didn't seem to actually contradict anything. That was the first thing I said. I cashed that out, and you didn't really reject that either. What I said is that by the definition of possible, when I said that something which seems to have no logical contradictions, I said the problem with that definition is that under other different views, a different view, again, when I said the three tests, when I said the slope test formula, was under the under logical modality, that it actually can have contradictions and be able to be probable or can carry possibility. And I said that's the kind of problem that I have with the definition there. And then I already justified as to why it would be. I ain't gonna lie. I don't know if you missed the justification, but I kind of did. But anyways, I'm not gonna restate it for you because I ain't gonna. I'm being I'm being bad in bad faith. But I definitely did justify it. Anyways, that's all I want to clear cash out there.
Well, so one, I deny that you justified anything. That's another thing that's going to be epistemically loaded. And now he has these type of fallacies that are being stacked on him, which he hasn't attacked. So one, prove that you justified it, and prove that even under your conceptual scheme, this is the type of thing in which the literature is actually saying there. That's the type of thing which needs to be empirically instantiated, and that's the type of thing he has not empirically instantiated. So that's the type of thing that's going to be dismissed there. And then on the meta level talk there, I want to make this very apparent. He's not actually doing anything to instant. He's trying to like sneak these type of things in, and these are things that I'm rejecting. So that's one thing. He's trying to do these type of things which are loaded. And by the way, MZ stacking on performative contradictions to what he's saying. And then, so MZ, we're going to need you to prove that under the scheme or under the literature, this is the type of thing which is
I
permissible,
justify
sir.
that, bro.
So
I'm not
no,
gonna lie.
you're not supposed to be talking while I'm talking, sir.
You
But
asked me
you
just
no,
because.
but I when I asked you a clarity question, I got muted. So one, so two, prove that you justified that that's going to be begging the question because I already asked you to prove that. That's going to be the burden you had on the table. So simply re-saying that you did it isn't going to be the type of thing which is sufficient, sir. We need you to actually prove that you did it. And I'm going to deny. I'm going to deny that type of scheme there because the convergence or what it means to be possible is to actually have the logical competition that's going to be analytic. And then two, I just want to make this very apparent there. I've already provided the distinction between the probability schemas. And then two, I mean three, what it meant to be possible, right? He already disagreed with my definitions of what it means to be possible, and we can get this on right. And for the dumb fuck, obviously MZ hasn't even been tracking what's been going on in this entire debate. Because in his response, he said that I didn't define what it meant to be possible. And then later he recognized that I did that. So, and then three, he has these burdens on which he hasn't addressed there, and these are relevant burdens. So, two, he didn't provide the relevant distinction between anything he asked me, and then two, he also hasn't addressed why his argument is the type of thing that's going to be logically valid because I deny that. And then three, I'm about to send this truth table like I've been saying, so he doesn't have anything to say.
Send it to the GC.
And then
Is that it?
no, it's not it actually, because you said a lot that I have to get to, sir. And then so one, he also wants to say like justify the Carnapian view, even though I said the Carnapian view is the type of thing which is global on the conceptual scheme talk. And since he's been advertising in this conceptual scheme talk, he's going to be appealing to the global talk of what it means to be a conceptual scheme. That's going to be Carnapian. So now if he wants me to justify that, I can. But seemingly, as I've already said there, and he hasn't attacked these notions of justification, we have defeasible, or we have defeasible, my bad. We have defeasible. We have fucking, what's it called? We have defeasible, we have phenomenal conservative, and we have prima facie, and we have nauseam inference. These are the type of things which he has not attacked. So I want to make it very apparent that he's not attacking anything I'm actually saying. And he's trying to strawman me to stray away from the actual topic. So now, right, I'm going to get back to my scheme and my talk there. So my conceptual scheme, or at least the negation here, is pragmatically acceptable, which just means it has no internal contradictions. And if it has no internal contradictions, it's going to be labeled as another acceptable model if you want to take pragmatic acceptability. And you don't even have to take pragmatic acceptability because that's just going to what it means. That's just going to be what it means globally. So that's another thing, right? And if it has no internal contradictions, then there's nothing wrong with saying that it is possible given that's analytically instantiated there. So he needs to prove that because I'm saying, right, I'm rejecting this scheme because, and then one, I'm pretty sure the scheme doesn't even say that you can have a logical contradiction and still be possible. But what it globally means to be possible, this is analytic. I'm about to send the empirics for that. It's to have no logical contradiction, which he has attacked there. So one, I'm still waiting on MZ I'm still waiting on MZ to send the empirics of the scheme or the literature that even allows for something to be possible with a fucking logical contradiction there. And then two, he hasn't addressed the burden of aletheia there. He needs to prove that the aletheia is the type of thing which sticks there because you can just swap with the aletheia conditions with pragmatic acceptability. Therefore, though those burdens are not the type of things which are relevant to what I'm saying, because I can just be an aletheia analysis on that type of talk. So now that's gonna be another blunder. So MZ's kind of staggering blunders on himself. And that's the truth table, by the way.
Where?
I'll send it in chat. That's the truth table.
I don't see it. Oh, okay, you see.
Okay.
Okay.
And then two, he still hasn't told me, or he still haven't given explanations to what it means to be justified there. We're still waiting on that because seemingly he hasn't rejected my notion of what it means to be justified. So if we were to hold to my notion there, and then two, if we were to hold to my notion there, then obviously it's gonna be the type of thing which is justified because all you need for phenomenal conservatism type justification is to just hold seeming and be in the lack of a contradiction there. So one, I'm just gonna say this. MG actually hasn't addressed any of the relevant burdens placed upon him. That's going to be the burden of Alethea, the burden to prove that his argument is the type of thing which is logically valid, and well, actually, those remain, and he hasn't responded to MT. So Mises trilemma and non-found reasoning. So Burger, you have 4 burdens on the table, sir. And Burger, we're going to ask you to stop epistemically loading your claims there, as these type of things are which has not been done yet, sir. So you can stop trying to sneak things in, sir. And by the way, he actually hasn't really denied the Carnapian view. He's actually only applied skepticism to my type of talk, sir. But I mean, I guess if he was holding a dosastic stakes of agnosticism, then this would be sufficient. But that's not what he's doing. He's on the affirmative. So he's actually supposed to be proving this is the type of thing which is actually going to be sufficient, right? He's on the affirmative. He's not sharing the dosastic state of what it means to be agnostic. So if that's the case, then he actually has not proved any of his claims, because his claim is to say speed can't bypass infinity. And then under a logical modality, and then you also under the literature, you need to prove there in reference to a logical modality that it could be logically possible with a logical contradiction. So
oh my god,
that's gonna be another burden on the table. And I'm just gonna send you the analytical literature of what it means to be logically possible. What else did this burger say to me? Actually, yeah, I have a couple more things to address. I'm not done. Because you tried to do this type of shit where you could shotgun me. So one, he actually hasn't proved that I was actually shotgunning him. He just kept re-saying it, which that's gonna be begging the question there. And then, bro, oh, I thought he ended the fucking wreck. And then two, right? When we go, I'm about to send the empirical instantiation. So right here, that's what it means to be possible. And then 2, so you have to respond to the burden of Alethea. And then 3, I think you said justify parsimony or justify the usage of parsimony. Ugh. If I was to get into this domain type of talk to justify parsimony, I mean, I guess you could say parsimony is justified given that it's the type of thing which is non-problematic. And then it's usually going to be the type of thing which is tracking to the states of reality there or the state of affairs. And then 3, man, it's like he hasn't actually proved that under a logical modality, and actually he hasn't responded to the truth table. And the truth table is going to be this evaluation of what it means to be possible there. So now I just had a voice. I had another voice crack. But yeah, man, if you look at this debate, you look at who's meeting their burden of redoing during the burden of proof, you say me, because MG actually hasn't done any of these things. So, and then actually, when he tried to address these fucking blunders I made, let's look at the blunders he said I made. Because I rejected I actually made any of these blunders, given that he strawmanned me and didn't even know what I was saying. Because he rejected that I defined what possible meant, and I actually did. So let's look back at that, right? And obviously, he hasn't attacked that he made a category error in when we talk about the probability schemes insofar as that. Because obviously we're sharing different dosastic states there. And obviously, if we're taking the Bayesian subjectivist, then obviously we're taking different stasis there of probability. Because we have different states there. And then so, man, we can conclude. Why he start left? No. Why did he start off with Max when Flo joined?
No, I laugh
You know
because
you're
I'm
not
doing
doing
something.
good, right?
From stasis.
Now, we can go to closures
Can I
now.
reply now? Can I reply
No,
now?
you wanted to conclude.
Yeah,
He
and I
wants to
want to
reply
reply to
now.
like half the shit you said, bro.
No, but
But
you
we
wanted
can.
to conclude. What
I'm,
happened?
yeah, I want to
But now he
conclude
wants
after
to
I reply
reply.
to what you said, bro. Kind of.
I'll respond after to what you say. But you definitely said you
I
wanted
guess
to conclude.
I guess let's just conclude. I mean, since I guess you're like afraid of something, but I think that's fine. I'll give you seconds.
What? So you want to conclude?
We can conclude. Yeah, I'll just give my conclusion.
Oh, you want to go
I don't know
first?
if Prag. I don't know if Prag's like a little bit special needs or didn't like miss out on like one of the big things I said. But under all the views he posited, I kind of established that they have conditions which have not been justified or satisfied, and which I want to satisfy. This is a justification that doesn't really inherently matter about the definitions of the justification because it doesn't seem there's even contradiction between both definitions of definitions that we posited. That's number one. Number two, second, number not to brew. Number three. So this entire time, he's just been spewing nonstop about different views and rejections. However, since the failure to even posit the scheme is in which he's rejecting the scheme I'm even abiding by, it doesn't seem to be the case that it even justifies even justified as even a contradiction. Number four, upon the category error, I justified as to ask him why about the parsimony point, which I don't know why he mistracked that, but simply he's asking him about the priors. And I'm simply asking him about the priors, or something just about like why the parsimony is even invoked here, or why he's more parsimony when he invoked the parsimony there, because it invokes obviously the priors are more explanatory power, which he hasn't justified. Then what's the number 5? Again, I'll also talk about the logic modality point. I said it like 8 times. Maybe I'll say it again. When I established or gave the schema, it obviously abides by modality which I gave to you. And I guess under logical modality, I even posited like what it means to be possible. And again, what I want to very much clarify is that I never said he never defined possible in the sense of the Definian scope. I said he failed to define it under the modal scope or schema he's even abiding by. That's the problem I had, and I made it very clear in the rec if you go back to it. Number 6. I don't know why this guy is, somehow he's pretty lost here. But if he can't justify the negation claim, or actually, I'm going to start laughing. Under the truth table, this dumbass even failed to even justify as to the Definians for the things he posited for the truth table. So I don't even know why you should even accept the truth table if we obviously disagree on the Definians, which I think is fucking hilarious. I don't know why this nigga, thought to posit that was some type of like reductio or something. And number 8. Again, I think I'll probably just end it here because I don't even think I'd bully him to on another like 5 points he just mistracked. But I think I'll just end it off here. Number 8. I guess when I want to posit here is that under the negational view that he's positing here, it's conflated a lot of the definitions and views into begging the question. And I kind of did justify as to why it is, or why about the possibility point and the logical modality point. I literally said verbatim that it goes deeper into the specific schema, and the specific schema itself is deferred upon mathematical axioms that we both abide by. And then I literally said if he rejects these things, that he'll also be rejecting his own argument, which he didn't contend to at fucking all. So I don't know if Prag just large probability for like the last like 20 minutes and just talking to himself. But Prag, just a quick side note and quick to remind you, all the shit you said have specific conditions which you haven't justified. And under the negational view, when you said that like you reject the claim, the rejection itself has to be based upon some type of empirical evidence, or even just some type of probability or some type of like inductional view. But you haven't done either of those. So you just sat here rejecting fucking nothing with nothing, bro. That's literally what you did for this entire time. So I mean, I'll yield my time. I honestly think this guy is just kind of, kind of stupid, but I mean, doesn't really matter.
One, bro, this nigga's trying to lie in his closers. Half of the things he said I didn't do, I actually did do. And the biggest thing is he actually didn't respond, or he actually didn't prove that his argument was logically valid. That's one, bro. And then 2, he didn't respond to how most of what he was asking me was loaded, or everything that he was asking was a loaded question, so it got dismissed. And then almost every claim he made was also accidentally loaded, so that also got dismissed, bro. And then 3, he's trying to respond in his closers for some reason, but I don't know why we trying to do that, bro. And then 4, I forgot. He never asked me to justify truth tables or what he said. I forgot what that nigga said. He said some bullshit. But it's like, I don't even care. I don't even care, no, but I don't care for you to repeat it. But dude, this guy, he's saying justify X, justify Y, but he never really went against what it meant to be justified. And I fulfilled justification under what it means to be justified, or at least under my so. And then he didn't respond to that. He didn't actually have any contentions with what it meant to be justified, at least upon my half. And then he actually failed to motivate a bunch of his schemes, and then he actually didn't respond that there's apparatic failure within his conceptual scheme. And then 3, by the way, fucking on the affirmative to actually prove your claim. And that's not the type of thing he did. Didn't have contentions with the truth table talk until it was in fucking closers. So no one's gonna fucking count that. No one cares for that. But he actually didn't have any contentions. And then I said the truth. And then he also had these unfulfilled burdens. So one of his burdens was to refute Mutant's trilemma. He didn't do that. He had another burden to refute fucking non-well-founded reasoning. And then he had another burden to prove that his argument was logically valid. And he had the burden of aletheia. Those are 4 burdens. Those are 4 burdens that he needed to go through, which he didn't fucking respond to. He didn't respond to anything I said. So I don't care for my fucking closer. You can keep it short, bro. And I'm done. Say that right though, bro.
Bro, Prag. Do you not know that all those specific schemas have specific conditions that you haven't justified, bro?
You still haven't cashed out what it meant to be. I addressed all of this, but it's okay.
I didn't